Pass the popcorn. 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 Pass the popcorn.
Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Carrie Jarasinski, and this is Pass the Popcorn, where we talk about good movies, bad movies, medical diagnoses, and more. Today, with the holidays upon us, I'm joined by two of the most festive and jolly people that I've personally ever met, Mr. Tim Brayton and Mr. Brennan Klein.
Who are the jolly people?
These... I expect.
Are you going to introduce them, or do we talk first?
Yeah, they live in the nether space behind both of us.
Okay.
They do, but I know you guys are going to have the warm and fuzzies. I don't know if that's what you get, because here today we're going to discuss our picks for the movie that unequivocally gets us in the holiday spirit more than any other movie that's ever existed. And also, Tim, happy birthday. Number 98.
It is indeed. Now that was just a mean thing to say out loud. I know it is my birthday. It is a certain number that starts with 4 and tragically no longer even ends with a 0. So I'm old and will be dead soon. But speaking of things that'll be dead soon, not to push past that, it is my birthday. Yes. So thank you for remembering. The last time we recorded on my birthday, I said on the air, it's my birthday, and you just kind of blazed on past it like I said, oh, my toe itches. So I appreciate you actually stopping.
You're welcome.
Stopping too. But as I was going to say, speaking of things that are going to be dead soon, how's your brain doing, Carrie?
Oh, my gosh. So last episode, I think I created a bit of a stir. I do appreciate the notes reaching out to actually check in on me. I think I took that topic a little cavalierly. Is that a word? What's the plural?
That's a word.
Cavalierly?
That's a word.
And so everyone's like, are you really okay? So anyway, quick medical update. So
that makes me feel terrible. I think I'd forgotten that topic by the time we were done recording that episode.
I think I had too, but then I was like, well, does that tie back to my neurological problem that I've already...
I mean, my vibe is you're speaking words.
Yes.
I can understand the words you're saying. You are sufficient to record a podcast, and that's the only need I have for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's exactly.
You're just a meat puppet of movie opinions that Tim can disagree with.
I mean, that's what you're here for.
That's right.
That's
I just sling things out. I don't even know what I'm saying, and then you just bat them back to me, and then we just sort of are like small kittens, batting a bit of.
What you could not hear, dear listeners, as she said, we're small kittens. She put her hands up and was waving them, and it was maybe the single cutest thing that has happened in the history of this podcast.
Yeah, I told you were going to get warmed up in the spirit of the holidays. I just knew it was coming. But in other positive news, all right, so I went in for my follow-up appointment to the said doctor that told me that I was experiencing brain death, and went in and we started talking about sort of treatment plans. Still at this point a little bit is he going to kind of get to the point of what's my outcome? What's my prognosis here? And so he's like, I'm going to sit you down, and I think I'm going to start to figure out what medications are really going to get you, or not medications, but what supplements I need to actually get my brain and my body back on track. So I was like, I'm here for it. You know what? Just I'm at this point where I'm just take my wallet. I'm here for it. Sits me down on a little table. He grabs a pill bottle and he holds it to my body, just places it to my body, and then is pushing on one of my arms. Okay, so imagine simultaneously pushing down on one of my arms and then holding the pill bottle to my body. It's like, okay. And he pushes down on my arm. He's like, that one didn't work. I'm like, oh.
What?
Okay. So he picks up another bottle. He holds it up to the same part of the body, lifts my arm, pushes it down, tries to get some tension on my arm. He's like, oh, that's the one. And then he proceeds to do this while touching pill bottles all over my neck, head, and body, and my kidneys. And then I walked away with 4 or 5 supplements that he recommended, because apparently the energy from the bottle of the pills reacted, and now it knows which ones I want.
No, Is this how you get into Scientology? Like, what the?
It's. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I want to say naturopathy, but I don't think that's right. That's how both of my parents go to the doctor. They refuse to see actual like medical doctors.
I'm so caught off guard. Wait, what is this?
It's a pseudoscience. It's fake, but I mean, it's better than what I do, which is not go to the doctor unless I'm literally like puking blood. So
you're saying you literally believe?
No, my parents literally believe.
Okay, your parents and this man who is sending me home with lots of different...
I don't think this man believes anything other than that he can get money out of you.
I mean, he did. I was like, well, okay.
Exactly, so he was right.
Like, your kidneys are failing also, and I was like, well, that makes sense. And then it's like, this, and this. Like, your arm definitely was weaker when I put up this, like, antigen thing to your arm, and he's have to send you with one of those too. And I was like, well, okay.
I wish I could remember what it was called. I know it's a thing.
Is it homeopathy?
Well, it will lead you to homeopathy, but it is not homeopathy. Homeopathy is the...
What's a homeopathy?
The preparation of... Homeopathy is the preparation of sugar pills that don't do anything.
Okay.
But the your body is an energy field and the pill has an energy field. That's called something.
Okay.
And I can't think of what it's called.
Naturopathy.
Is it naturopathy?
I don't know. I don't really activate myself in this way.
I mean, again, this is the only way my parents like get medical treatment.
Is it Reiki? What's Reiki?
Reiki's something different.
Okay.
Reiki's something different.
I'm in LA. I've heard about Reiki.
So I've been raked and I've been naturopath, all of these kinds of things. So here's the worst of it. Imagine me of all people who can like barely keep a straight face like right now. Like it's really hard for me not to be just laughing. Right? So when I asked for the explanation and he was telling me about the energy from the bottle, reacting to my body, like imagine me of all people one-on-one trying to keep a straight face. And I was like,
I'm curious how you encountered this, Dr. Carrie.
It's Rob. Rob got me into it. He starts as the chiropractor, and then it ends with me being like, yeah, I feel...
Oh, yeah. Chiropractors are the kind of people who have these people on staff, yes.
Oh, my gosh. So the end of this story is to say, I feel so much better about the potential that there is still life within my brain, and that potentially this guy isn't like 100% solid from a practice perspective. So that's the good news I want to share for everybody that wrote and was concerned. I think there's a possibility that I will in fact survive.
I am pleased to hear that you've just been seeing a pseudoscientific quack, and that is the reason that you have been given this fear of your imminent brain death.
Yeah, Carrie's doctor is the Music Man. But didn't you say you had an appointment with an actual neurologist before you went to see this other person? Or am I misremembering?
Yeah, see, you are good. I had forgotten about that, but yes, I do have one of those coming up in February.
Thank goodness. Okay, someone who actually knows things about brains, right?
Yes. So I'm going to do that in February too, and then just figure out all the synapses that are going on up there and if there is anything that I should be doing. But in the meantime, I think all is mostly well. So fear not, I will continue to destruct this podcast for many times to come. So worry not.
Look forward to that. All I ask is that if you do get an immediate clinical prognosis that is not good, that you do tell me as soon as possible so we can start doing rehearsals or tryouts for new hosts.
Of course. I've already got like a job description written up. I'll just push that out right away. So make it extra easy for you guys. Beyond that, I also wanted to tell you guys too that I did get a chance last week. I know we didn't end up having an episode last week, but I had said that I was heading to meet my film debut in Ohio, my acting debut, and I did successfully. Wait, I'm gonna actually get that word back. I did appear in said film. 12 hours of shooting. And
I will point out you have not appeared in the film until the final cut is locked.
That is fair. That's very fair. I want to tell you guys, and you guys know this better than anybody else. Well, amongst the 3 people that are on this podcast, you guys. It was so hard. It was so hard. The whole movie extra thing is not glamorous. I was like,
Nope,
it's like
it is not.
standing. It's like, hey, you over there in the corner eating a snack, trying to hide, like you, which was me, because I was just always looking for snacks. They're like, you're back on. I'm like, I was just on 5 minutes ago. Like, why am I back? And they're like, well, we're redoing it. I'm like, redoing what? Like, I was just standing there for like 20 minutes and now I just need a popcorner. But it was hard work. I don't know if I'm made for it. So just
I mean, film sets are they are a combination of standing around waiting a lot and the miserable like grinding through the same thing 12 to 15 times in a row. So
Yeah, it's some of the most boring stress you will ever encounter.
boring stress is like such a flawless two-word phrase to describe being on a film set.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I've been a PA on many a set, and it is the hurry up and wait situation where it's like, you're sitting there eating popcorners talking to some B-list actor, and then all of a sudden it's like napalm has been dropped and everyone has to run around and do shit.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's exactly
100%.
what it was. And it was like so much standing. And here's the other thing. I also thought there was this small possibility that they were going to like see something in me and be like, holy smokes, this is the star of our show. Like we got to pull her out of the background and she's going to like pull in because she's got this like aura or like something about her. That didn't happen, number one. And number two, I can't tell you how nervous I was. So I'm like, you're standing to the side, even for the shot. The entire time I'm like, how do I naturally put my arm? Would I normally be fidgeting with my watch? Oh, should I scratch my nose now to look casual? Like, ooh, I probably scratched my nose too much. Like, oh, like angles. And then I was like, I'm sweating, like all these things. No one is even going to know who this person is. And I was so nervous that I was failing as a background actor.
Now here's the question: were you making sure that you always scratched your nose at the same point during the scene?
I was thinking about that. I don't.
Like if the lead actor, for example, drops a plate,
Yes.
and then you scratch your nose 2 seconds later, did you always make sure to scratch your nose 2 seconds after the plate was dropped?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't do that. I know.
oh man, you've just made some editor's job a lot harder, Carrie. Got to be honest with you.
I think you're right. And on top of it, the lady I was paired with standing in this art gallery, the lady that I was paired with was like equally as visually animated as I am, or not visually, like facially animated. So she and I are like flinging arms around left and right, like like talking, like laughing, like very like jovially, like throwing our heads back. And I'm just thinking,
But like laughing silently, right?
yeah, we were like this, like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do.
She just did like that Mars Attacks kind of like chittering thing. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, I did that on set too. I mean, I was just like, well, sometimes I didn't know if it was kind of like makeup where you have to like go more bold for the camera. So like, do I have
Oh no, that's the theater, Carrie. That's not cinema.
Well, no one told me. So now I'm just like over there like a fish out of water, flapping my fins around, like waving things and trying to.
So they're gonna look at your rushes and they're gonna be like, all of this footage is ruined. The background extras are just camping up a storm. We need to just reshoot this, and
I'm gonna get cut.
it's gonna
Is what
be a
you're
shit
saying.
show. You're gonna cost that production $500,000 extra dollars. Is what I'm
I
saying.
think you're right, but alas.
Actually, oh sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
During the edit process, it actually might be really wise to put you in the movie because then we can put a clip and be on TikTok and be like, "Look at this wild extra," and then the movie will make $8 million.
Yes, this woman in the back.
That's a
having
good point.
seizure.
That's a good point.
It is a good point. People want wacky things. What they could also pull from the one time where I actually got tapped out of, there were like 30, 40 people there, and they're like, we only need one. And they're like, lady in the green dress. And I was like, me? And so like,
Oh wow, the producer's wife got randomly selected to do something. What an unbelievable shock. I wonder how on earth that happened.
I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it felt random, at least at the moment.
No, I mean, film, famously the least nepotistic of industries. I'm sure that is not how it played out. I'm sure it was entirely on your talent.
I think it was because of my green dress that I was wearing, but I did get up and I had to casually breeze past this ghost, basically. So I breezed past really fast and then I fell.
Oh, what? Oh no.
Were you on camera when you fell?
I think you just hear the like, you hear the fall. I think I was off camera for the. It wasn't like a full fall. It was more of like a slip, like you would like a banana peel. You know, like a banana peel gets under your heel.
But you were not in
I
frame.
hope not. I don't know for sure.
I mean, you know who hopes not is the
The
director.
director. So what I'm saying is my star has already fallen. I don't think that it's.
That's what the director said when shooting that shot.
Hey.
But alas, I will be back for many more. But that's what Rob's been up to, and it's super hard and super chaotic and busy. So I kind of understand what he's been doing and what he's been up to, but not up to anything that's as exciting as what we've been up to. Because Tim and I got together yesterday to celebrate his birthday. Was that yesterday?
That was the day before
2
yesterday.
days ago to celebrate Tim's birthday and see Avatar: The Shape of Water, which was
The Way of Water.
Way of Water, which was where did I get the shape of water?
And that's the lady wants to fuck the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh man, I think they should have called it that, but alas, they didn't. It's called instead Avatar: The Way of Water, which we got to see together. So I want to talk about that today and are worth mentioning. Brennan, what are you going to be bringing, or what have you been seeing?
Well, I've been doing a little bit of catch up. I missed out on some films when I was quarantining because I had COVID over the Thanksgiving holiday. So sadly, I did not get to see Glass Onion in theaters. But once I was released upon the world again, I did go see The Menu and Bones and All.
I need to hear everything about The Menu. I want to see it so badly. So excited to hear about that. Tim, what are you going to be bringing?
So I also saw Avatar: The Way of Water. My screening had this just insanely annoying woman who kept being like, that must be the shape of the water. And I couldn't get her to shut up. And it was really, really disappointing. But no, in addition to happily discussing that with you and our experience together and whatnot, I'm going to be bringing a brace of direct-to-streaming Ebenezer Scrooge pictures, one of which is the adaptation of A Christmas Carol titled, I believe, Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, currently airing on Netflix, and the other will be the Apple Plus modernization of the story, Spirited, starring two guys, Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, among others.
Mm-hmm. One of whom was a producer on The Menu.
Okay, Brennan, so how about you start with your movies, and then we'll jump and then finish with Avatar, because I think that'll be one that Tim and I will probably want to cover a bunch of.
Yeah, sure thing. So basically, I mean, I already kind of led into it. So Will Ferrell and Adam McKay are both producers on The Menu, which was not a selling point for me. I would say
not.
But while there are a couple Adam McKay-y moments you can point to and be like, well, that was ruined because of just this kind of like needless hectoring of the audience. It's, I would say, less than 1% of the film, which was very nice. The Menu is about Anya Taylor-Joy. She accompanies Nicholas Hoult to this exclusive kind of gourmet dining experience on this secluded island run by this famous chef played by Ralph Fiennes. And basically, before too long, it seems that there might be something fishy going on this island, and not just the seafood course, if you know what I mean.
Hey,
I actually don't know.
That was a pun.
Like fishy, like suspicious?
Yeah, something suspicious, maybe.
That is what people mean when they say something is fishy.
I thought you were being gross. I thought it was like, I don't know why I thought.
It was real.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes
juicy.
just is eating out everyone on the island.
That's what I thought. And I was like, ooh, I didn't know it was steamy like that. That was weird. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that was super weird, and I have no idea why you decided to latch onto it.
Cut that out.
Yeah, because you're usually the last person to pick up on a double entendre, and you just invented one right there.
Hit me, and I assumed I was on the outside of it. I tried to get in, like be in on the joke, and it was a terrible failure.
The joke was punning that fish is something served at restaurants.
Oh gosh, of course. And now my face is like burning hot, and let's just
beet red. You are so pink, it's going to make me have to recalibrate my monitor.
Let's pretend it didn't happen, and then continue telling what else was fishy.
Yeah. No, it's just so funny because it might be the only wholesome pun that's ever been spoken on this podcast.
Oh, I know. You can imagine my confusion.
Speaking of wholesome.
Mm-hmm. I'll stay in my lane.
There's nowhere to go. I just trying to make a dirty pun out of thin air.
But anyway, let's just say there's a chance that not everyone will leave this restaurant alive. But basically, it's I think that it is very much interested in like using its ensemble of characters to kind of be a satire of the rich. Never seen that before, but it's a deep well of things to satirize. So fine. I think it is inconsistent about how well it satirizes, but I think it's like 70-30 in favor of what it's doing. There's one character in particular that I think is a complete waste of space that they couldn't ever figure out anything fun to do with, which is disappointing. But for the most part, the film is just this kind of crackling tete-a-tete between Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes as Anya's trying to figure out what's going on, and Rafe is trying to do whatever the thing that he is doing without having her get in the way. And comedy is perhaps the most subjective thing in film, other than perhaps fear. But I found it pretty consistently funny throughout. There is a recurring graphic element that I think is the best part of the movie that was very funny and only got better, and that was very nice.
Graphic as in like a design, or graphic as in like explicit?
As in a design.
Okay, cool.
As in
That's
like
what I assumed you meant.
a something that non-diegetic that appears on the screen.
I love that.
Yeah, and also that's like, wow, you incorporated elements of style into a movie in 2022.
Always gotta love when style unexpectedly pops up on screen.
Yeah, so that was a delight. But yeah, so that, I mean, y'all haven't seen it, but I guess I can truck on over to Bones and All, perhaps.
Which I have seen, so I can at least slightly speak to that thing existing.
Yes. Speaking of, delicious food. Bones and All is the new Luca Guadagnino joint. It stars Timothée Chalamet and Taylor Russell. Taylor Russell is this young woman who is an eater. It's basically this... Okay, so this is actually the worst thing about the movie, is the way that it presents cannibalism. Because it's this kind of... It presents it as this kind of, like, vampire curse, almost, where...
It's like a cross between vampires and the X-Men and, like, a sexual underground. It's very confusing and not really effective. But I didn't mean to step on you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, it's this very strange, peculiar world building that I assume has to be a holdover from the source young adult novel by Camille de Angelis that this film is adapted from. But it's kind of about this subculture of cannibals where they have this kind of innate desire to consume human flesh at a certain rate throughout their lives. So, just like Edward in Twilight, once he gets super hungry, he's like, I want to eat Bella, but so he has to go eat a deer so he doesn't feel like that anymore.
And it's implied that if they resist this urge, it has negative effects on their well-being.
Yeah, so it's stupid. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I think the movie would be fundamentally better if it was about people who chose to eat other people rather than someone who has to and feels bad about it, which is what it's doing. But anyway, so
I'll take it one further. I think it would be better if it just straight up wasn't about cannibalism.
That might also be true. But if it had to, I think there's interesting things, at least visual elements to the cannibalism. I think it's got a cracker of an opening sequence as far as whatever it does with cannibalism. But that whole kind of bizarre setup for it just did not work for me. But she goes on the run. She's abandoned by her father after her cannibalism kind of crops up again. And she eventually kind of just starts off on this, I wouldn't say aimless, but kind of aimless road trip to potentially find her mom and just figure out what's going on with her whole deal. With Timothée Chalamet, who is another cannibal in the area. And basically it's this kind of, it's this great American road movie about, like, they meet these people along the way and learn what their lives are like. Most of the people are other eaters, but one of them is Jessica Harper in a really terrific I am hesitant to say it's the best she's ever been in a movie, but it's up there.
It is necessary to talk about it as though we might want to call it that. Yes.
Yes. I was just because I normally Jessica Harper she's a cult film figure for sure, but I associate her with glamour. She was in Phantom of the Paradise. She was in Shock Treatment. She was in Suspiria, old and new. And I tend to associate her.
Is she from Bedknobs and Broomsticks too?
I don't think so.
I extremely don't think so.
I think she might be, and I think she's in.
Oh wait, no, I just watched Bedknobs and Broomsticks. She is not in that.
Is she in the Murder, She Wrote?
That's Angela
Lansbury. I think you are thinking of Angela Lansbury.
Her name is Jessica, isn't it?
Her name is Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. That is the name of the character she plays.
Okay,
in a television program.
30 minutes and 20 seconds, take note, and then just nip that part out there too.
So you're saying we cut that part and we make that like one of our ad bumpers?
Let's not.
Put it on TikTok.
Let's not. So, but what you're saying is she's not in this movie.
Angela Lansbury
is not in this movie.
That's a bummer. Okay.
She would have been alive when they were filming it, but yeah, no, this was not.
She
this is
died?
Not. Oh, he didn't know
just
that?
like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, this is the worst.
She was like 97 years old. I mean, it wasn't sudden.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I'm so sorry. I thought you had talked about it on the podcast or something, so I'm sorry.
I don't remember doing so, but it feels like something we would have done.
I feel like she's been in my newsfeed all the time lately, and I'm like, oh.
Because she died.
Oh.
Angela.
That was me.
God damn it.
I thought she was like, maybe it's because she's in Bones and All, and then like she was making this like publicity rounds or something. Oh.
She apparently has a small cameo in Glass Onion, so maybe that's something.
She did. That's correct. Yeah.
Maybe it's a recency thing. I just saw her in there, alive and well. This is the worst. This day is just
might be an overstatement.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Extremely rest in peace. What an icon. I did not know you did not know, so I'm sorry.
Angela Lansbury's life was well spent in the movies, and her death set up a good bit on our show. So it was
you guys are gonna pull me out of the trenches on this one. I'm feeling really low now. So
I'm so sorry. So yes, Jessica Harper. I associate her with glamour. I associate her with big hats and opera gloves, and just being this like beautiful, strange, charismatic presence. And in this movie, she's just playing the most like 1980s like curly hair, glasses kind of grandma figure, and stripped away of all of the thing I associate her with. She also like really taps into this very human, very powerfully emotional performance that I liked a lot.
Which is part of what impressed me about the performance, because I mean, glamour for sure, but I also just sort of, like, something about her performances, like, she's always in weird movies, and she's always a weird thing in those movies. She sort of feels like a supermodel Katie did or something. Like, there's just something weirdly, like, angular and inhuman about her. And as you say, she brings this kind of, like, incredibly felt human core to this performance. I thought that scene was the highlight of this film, for sure.
Very, very much. And also, one thing I'm less hesitant to say, this is the best I've ever seen Timothée Chalamet perform.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, he has this, he's very much playing a manic pixie dream boy. And he's doing it really well. He has this kind of spitfire energy that I've never seen him deliver. He's usually very kind of laconic and kind of surfery, but in this he seems dangerous in a way, but also charming and just fun to watch. It was very good.
Okay.
I just wish the central cannibal metaphor wasn't, or not metaphor. I mean, there's
it's a metaphor, and that's part of the problem with it.
Yeah, the movie is chock-a-block with metaphors, and none of which I would say are central.
Like it is straight up for sure about cannibalism as a metaphor for queer sexuality.
Yeah, I would say so. And
I think it would be better if it weren't that thing that I just said.
Yeah. It's just everything about the cannibalism, as far as how it functions narratively and thematically, is just kind of disappointing. Although I do like the visceral aspect of the scenes that involve cannibalism for the most part.
The cannibalism scenes are good in and of themselves. Yes.
Yeah, it's really complicating the necessarily simple thing that this movie is doing.
Yep.
And just the world building is just really bad. I had a similar problem with Halloween Ends of I wish it would just commit to its morals. Where sorry, this is a huge digression, so I'm going to make it really, really snappy and short. But when Allison, the granddaughter, and humanity's greatest failure, Corey Cunningham, are like kind of starting to fall in love or whatever, I want it to go full like Bonnie and Clyde. Like let's just do this and have this twisted, almost like Almodovarian love story of just like two fucked up people doing bad shit. Like I wanted that, and it's just that's not what this is at all.
That's just not what this is. No, my official opinion placed in two different locations now has been it either needed to be a ton more about cannibalism or it needed to have no cannibalism. The amount of cannibalism we get is just awkward and wrong.
Yeah, it's perplexing to consider. But yeah, that's my thoughts and bones and all. All in all, I think it is a movie that has more like capital G great things in it than it should, and I cannot discount it. But for me, it just winds up at a 7 out of 10 for me, where it's just like, what is going on with you?
Okay.
Same exact rating.
Well, you sold me on the menu. You would have sold me if you said Angela Lansbury was in Bones and All, but alas, I'm going to stick with the menu. Tim.
Angela Lansbury's not in the menu either, just to be clear.
I know, but that one sounds better than the second one. But you have sold me. I was going to see that. Tim, I am chomping at the bit to talk about Avatar, but I know you have seen another movie. What are you bringing to the table?
Yeah. I will not belabor my dyad of Christmas Carol adaptations because I frankly think both films are bad. I would say that Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, which is currently streaming on Netflix, I would call that just a straight up abject failure. It is a CGI remake of the 1970 or 1971 film musical Scrooge, starring Albert Finney as Scrooge, a musical with songs by Leslie Bricusse, however the fellow, if I can pronounce his name, who is probably best known for his collaborations with Anthony Newley, a songwriter who I find incapable of writing good music. So at the point it became clear to me that Scrooge, A Christmas Carol was a remake of Scrooge, full stop. The moment that sort of hit me, and it hit me pretty early because the song starts pretty much right away, I gave serious thought to, should I just stop this? Like, I'm going to be miserable. And I didn't, because I'm a sick person. But I'll tell you what, this has given me serious pause in whether or not I want to continue doing what I do, which is every time I can lay hands on a Christmas Carol adaptation, I'm like, oh, well, it's a Christmas Carol adaptation. I collect those. Let's see what this one's like. This one was bad. So its music, I think, is terrible. It has animation that is just an assault on your eyes. It's so stiff, like everybody only like bends in two places, and they're very plasticky looking, and their faces are just like doll faces, like they have no texture, they have no sort of anything going on. And some of the designs are really terrible. Like the designs of the ghosts are just like weirdly off-putting. Like the Ghost of Christmas Present is like this, like he's chrome. I don't know what else to describe him as. He's like a little round chrome man, and it's ugly. Jacob Marley has like these animated flame effects that are not animated in the same sort of texture as the rest of the animation, and I think it's designed to look otherworldly, but it just looks like there's a TikTok filter or an Instagram filter or something applied to him. It's just insanely bad looking. The cast is sort of good. The cast is actually what got me in and sort of what held me onto it. Specifically, the Ghost of Christmas Past is voiced by Olivia Colman, and I was like, well, I gotta watch through to see Olivia Colman's thing. And by the time I was done with Olivia Colman, I was like 1/4 to 2/3 through the movie, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna stick with it. So you got Olivia Colman, you've got Jonathan Pryce as Marley, you've got Luke Evans as Scrooge. So the cast is doing. Luke Evans is like bizarrely overcommitted. Like, he is convinced he is in a great masterpiece level Christmas Carol. So it's not like unwatchable strictly at that level, but there are better Christmas carols. You will not have to hunt for a better Christmas Carol. Frankly, this isn't even as good as the Robert Zemeckis one with Jim Carrey from a while back, even if all you want is a CGI animated Christmas Carol. So avoid the hell out of Scrooge on Netflix. The other Christmas Carol adaptation I saw, which has been around for a little while now, but I wanted to wait until we were in the full throw of Christmas to actually watch it, that is Spirited, a film starring Will Ferrell as the ghost of Christmas Present, in a new sort of concept for the thing, which is basically the ghosts who haunt Scrooge are part of a sort of corporate structure, and they every single year pick a new miserable SOB who they're going to like show their past and reveal to them the error of their ways. And they've been doing this every year for a century and a half or however long it's been. And this year they pick Ryan Reynolds, who is the PR guy. He is like a major presence in this sort of PR world. He speaks with senators, he speaks with companies, and the Ghost of Christmas Present becomes convinced if they can redeem this person, they will have so many like outward ripples, because this one person is responsible for so much evil in the world. Redeeming him would really just change the planet entire. The problem is that the Ryan Reynolds character immediately realizes that he's being given the Christmas Carol treatment and starts like deflecting it because he knows the story, which I think speaks to the unsoundness of the concept, which is that if the people in this universe know that a Christmas Carol exists, it's not clear how you can do a Christmas Carol to them, as has apparently been happening for 180 years. So that's part of the frustration. I do like the idea of a sort of brand new, fresh approach to a Christmas Carol. I think it is a story that has been told a whole hell of a lot of times on screen. I think it's okay to do something fresh and new with it. This gets us a quarter of the way there, I'd say. It does have a lot of Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds for my taste. Neither of those are people whose types of comedy particularly hit me where I live. And I will say it is largely a Ryan Reynolds comedy with Will Ferrell in it, more so than a Will Ferrell comedy.
That's interesting to say that. I would like I feel like Will Ferrell's such a strong presence on the comedy side that would be like a toe-to-toe kind of comedy.
It's not really designed that way.
Okay.
Is the thing. It's really designed as sort of around the Ryan Reynoldsness of it. It's also a Pasek and Paul musical, or Pasek and Paul. I'm not sure how to pronounce that guy's name, but it's a musical by the people who did Dear Evan Hansen and The Greatest Showman, and
Lyle Lyle Crocodile,
and the good song from Trolls, which remains the highlight of their film composing career.
For sure,
it's not a good musical. It's a bad musical, and that's all I have to say about Spirited.
All right.
But it's better than Scrooge. It's better than the Netflix Scrooge. So if you have to watch a new 2022 version of the story, Spirited is a better film than Scrooge, although it's also much more of an adult's prospect than Scrooge.
And I will say I watched the first 5 minutes of Spirited, and I did bail because I have slightly more self-preservation than Tim, and also I had not previously committed myself to such to that particular completist vibe. But
yeah, Spirited did not trigger a revulsion in me. I was just like, oh, well, this isn't going to be very good, but I'll watch it anyway. Scrooge, I actually did sort of think about stopping.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. And it's not like Spirited wasn't that bad, but I was just like, I have other things I need to catch up on, and this isn't going to do it.
Spirited is also too damn long. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes long. That's way too much time.
Sweet Jesus. But yeah, in the first 4 minutes, the previous person that they were doing the Christmas caroling to is played by Rose Byrne, and they gave Rose Byrne exactly nothing funny to do, and I was like, well, I don't trust this movie's comic instincts, so I'm going to leave.
Rose Byrne gets hit in the head with a ball. That's funny.
No. Disagree.
Not enough. Well, you know what other movie was very damn long and also had a lot of balls? What other things have we been talking about? But was also very good.
Would you say it had blue balls?
I think it did.
I'm gonna have to push back against both of you. I think that the Na'vi are very conspicuously genital-less.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, because fuck with their hair.
They fuck with their hair.
I didn't know that. How did you know that?
Wait, how I saw the first one.
I just thought they were like mingling. I didn't know that they were like procreating with their hair.
No, yeah, that's there's like this sex scene in the first one where they link their hair together like USB ports, and then she's like, "Now we're mated for life," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
Should have read the fine print on that one.
moly. Did you know this, Tim?
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't like a hot take or anything like
No, this is something people have
It's
been
a
joking about for
scene
13 years,
It's a
Carrie.
scene in the movie from a
It's
decade ago.
a notorious scene from a 13-year-old movie.
Hi, we're mates, not like mates. You know what I mean? Like Tim and I are mates, but we're not mates.
Mated.
We're not mated. I didn't know that. That's so interesting. So you're saying, because the whole time I was trying to sneak a peek because there's just these tiny little loincloths everywhere you're looking. And then same thing on the top. You just kept thinking you're going to see a slip, but you never do. That's a spoiler. You never do in Avatar.
Well,
You don't, because it's a PG-13 movie. They're not going to render CGI junk
yeah.
when they know that they could not put
Yeah.
it in the movie.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and like this is a creature that doesn't exist. Like every moment of a Na'vi that you're seeing is passed through James Cameron's watchful eye. So if there was a slip, that would have been on purpose.
On purpose. Okay.
But also, wait. So maybe they have, if not genitals, some sort of urethra. Do you see them pee in the movie?
yeah, that's a good question too.
Because
I
why do
don't
they have
think
a
you see them
loincloth?
pee. Well, you do see a pregnant Na'vi, so it implies that they have a uterus, which implies that they have vaginas.
But you never actually see a birth of a Na'vi, so it could
You don't. That's true.
Could come out of the hair.
come out of the hair follicle.
It could come out of the hair.
Yeah. What if a baby popped out of that little the dangly hair thing?
I feel like this is not the conversation about Avatar: The Way of
Sorry.
Water I was expecting to have.
Sorry, yeah.
Back in. Okay.
There's a movie.
There's a movie, and I want to let you all know we are not going to spoil this movie. Not in any way, not in any fashion, ever. But so I'm going to tell you about the plot of this movie at the highest level, and then Tim can tell me where it's all wrong. So we did go see this for Tim's birthday. It was
Yeah, I arranged a group, 14 of my people from grad school, from life. So Rob and Carrie and their children were part of this. So thank you, Carrie, very much for coming and for bringing your girls well past their bedtime to join me for my
was
birthday.
well past their bedtime, but they held it together until we got into the car on the way home, which is always the most important. But it was so much fun. It was the most beautiful theater, such a nice group of friends that you had come out. And I'm glad because you were worth the drive during torrential conditions. So, and the cold, we appreciate you. But let me tell you a little bit about this very long movie. And then, Tim, I would love to know how we compare and contrast the goods and bads of this movie together. But basically, there's this guy. His name's Jake. Jake Sullivan. Jake Sully. Unknown.
Jake Sully.
Jake Sully. But is it full Sullivan?
I don't think so.
Just Sully.
Typically, you don't do nicknames for last names.
Okay. All right. Well, then his name is just Sully, which is kind of strange. He lives with his family. They met during the first Avatar movie, and they've run into a couple snags. There is a threat that is being posed to their family, and so he's like, "Oop, I got to get out of here. I got to take my blue people, blue Na'vi, and I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to go infringe on another community and put their entire community at risk to save my own family and protect myself." And that is sort of the thrust, I would say, of the overall movie. And then what will happen? Unknown.
I think that it is accurate and also at least modestly uncharitable to say that the target was, let us endanger this other group of people.
Feel as though he knew what he was doing. The likelihood that the threat would eventually, based on the rise and fall of most movie plots, that the threat would come to them was very high. And
Well, yes, but does Jake Sully know that he's in a movie plot?
that's a very meta question to ask. I don't know. I think yes. You think no, maybe. But
I think it's tough to say because he has so very little personality.
that is also very fair. I will lead in to say, and then let's go into the things that we loved and maybe some of the opportunities. This movie I thought was very long, but I did think that it rose like up a hill. It was like it started off, and I'm like, what is happening? Like there was a lot of explanation at the beginning. I didn't really know what was going on. A lot of confusion. It felt like they were kind of slow to warm up in some of the dialogue. felt a little bit stiff. And then I will say it started to just get better and better and better until it culminated. Like the last probably like hour of the movie was just sort of like drool coming down the side of my mouth because I was just so in awe of the spectacle that the movie was.
I am pretty much exactly in the same place. I would say that quality wise, it feels like the movie moves sort of in four phases for me. There is an opening phase where it is clearly weaker than Avatar 1.
Mm-hmm.
There is a second phase, and I don't want to say when I think these phases change, although I do know exactly when I think they do because I don't want to give away what little plot exists here. I think the second phase, it's about on par with Avatar. And I would say that the first phase is the forest part, and the second phase is the getting to know the water avatars,
Yep.
or the water Navi part. I think there is a place where it is clearly improving on Avatar. And then I think it gets to the last chunk, maybe hour, maybe 40 minutes. I wasn't watching with a stopwatch, where it is goddamn fucking, oh my god, I want it to ravish me and fill me full of its seed, and I need this movie. I need this movie on a carnal level quality. Like that last hour is so good.
It's so good that you really truly forget that you're in the theater. It's one of those experiences where you're like so immersed in what's happening and it feels like a picture. It doesn't feel like you're watching, any sort of
It's just so good.
It's very
It's just so good. Can't talk about it spoilery, but it's so good.
Yes.
But so we are on the same page then that it is a constant improvement and it ends so well.
Well, that's very exciting to know. I've been hesitant to go out and see Avatar 2 because I'm a very much an 82-minute runtime boy, and I really need to kind of plan my month around it. But I'm the thing that made me most curious about the movie, and the thing that made me actually say, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. How is it to watch Sigourney Weaver play a teenager in this movie?
You get used to it in that it no longer feels like some sort of strange, uncanny valley nightmare, but it always remains kind of weird in a way that I found very fetching.
Okay, is it? Yeah.
To me, Sigourney Weaver is the highlight of the film, cast-wise.
Really? Interesting. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I liked a couple of the sons too, but I thought
my two favorite characters were the two girl children. So the Sullys have 4 children, 2 boys who are getting into sort of a very East of Eden-y situation. It's straightforward. But then they have their teen girl, who is Sigourney Weaver, who died in the first movie. Her spirit sort of reincarnated in a way that's clearly going to be explained in one of the sequels, not in this film. And then they have like a 6-year-old named Took.
he's so cute.
I was obsessed with Took. She's a good character.
Yes, she
and I would like for the 5th movie to be about nothing but her. Just like fucking around and pointing at things.
He reminds me so much of Alice, like just like her like innocence and like sweetness and running around. And every time she came on, she was so adorable. I felt like, so I think one of the things they did was de-age Sigourney Weaver's voice. So it's intended to sound like, it's not Sigourney Weaver. It sounds like maybe a 35 to 40-year-old Sigourney Weaver playing a 14-year-old instead, which almost made me feel even more like uncomfortable by it. Like, like I can tell it's you, but you still sound way older than a 14-year-old. So that wasn't working for me. I thought it was super distracting, but
I think the character is meant to feel sort of weird. I think we're meant to have that response. Not in a like off-putting way, which it sounds like that's what it was for you, Carrie, but in a like, this character she is a mystical being and we should not be able to pin her down. And I felt that way.
Okay.
That I could not pin her down.
I also struggled a bit with the character of Spider. Who is that a spoiler to go into anything about Spider?
I don't think so. I think the film foreshadows it pretty quickly and it confirms it not too much long after that. Spider is the human orphan child who was left on Pandora following the events of the first movie. Because he was too young to put in the cryotube, so he's just kind of been raised by the Na'vi and what little population of humans remain. And it turns out, and again, this is not really a spoiler, I don't think. We find out pretty quickly. He is the illegitimate son of the first movie's villain, played by Stephen Lang.
I know.
Exactly.
Because
And yes.
no character can be important if a different character that you know didn't fuck to make them.
Precisely. You know how storytelling works. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so Stephen Lang, you see, also comes back. His consciousness has been uploaded into an avatar body. So now there's this like weirdness of Stephen Lang's consciousness in a body that did not fuck to make Spider. So it's this kind of weird like father-ish but not really, son-ish but not really, and they both hate each other because they're on different sides of this war. So that's the character. Carrie, it sounds like you had issues with the character.
I don't know. I thought he was like, for all of the, this is going to sound super mean, so I hope he's never listening to this. Sorry, Jack Champion. But I felt like for the billions and billions of dollars, I don't know how much they spent on making this movie, his acting was like really stiff. Like
it wasn't good. Here's my thing, is the James Cameron cinematic experience requires adolescent boy children who are terribly written and even worse acted, and I got that, and I was like, this is this film's John Connor, and I think he's a better actor than Eddie Furlong.
Yeah. And I gotta say, if I was watching someone named Jack Champion, I'd expect them to be stiff the whole time.
Hey.
And his name in real life is Jack Champion.
No, I know.
He's making
so
a
funny,
gay
though.
porn named joke.
Oh, is there somebody that is named Jack Champion in the porn world?
No, but if
like,
you heard that there was an actor named Jack Champion, wouldn't that be your first thought?
Yeah, but also like if he's the Jack Champion, he's the best at jacking.
Oh, I hadn't even made that connection.
It's the emphasis that you just did, and it completely changed it for me. And now I see why. But we'll call him Spider for the purposes of that. So when you guys see it, you'll know what we mean. All in all, Tim, you landed super high on this movie. Did you ultimately land on a star rating yet, or is this?
I've ultimately landed on 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So my rating's still out to be found, but I thought it was obviously worth seeing. Obviously good. The 3D I thought was really good as well. Sometimes that can make me a little woozy. And
it is a for sure see it on the biggest screen in the most technical gewgaws you can manage. I am still not sure, Carrie, if you and I saw the high frame rate version, so I can't vouch for high frame rate.
Okay.
Whatever you and I saw looked good.
I agree, and I wouldn't have known if the frame rate was high or low, and I liked it.
Because you know what was high? Me.
You were
on this
high?
movie.
Oh.
No.
You wouldn't do that.
If I had smoked a whole goddamn bowl and then walked into the movie, I would have been sober as a nun by the midway point. It is so fucking long.
This is true. This is true. So awesome. Run out there and see it, like Tim said, on the biggest theater screen that you can find. Before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. You can get early access and exclusive content, make us watch a movie, pick your own episode topic, and more from our Patreon site. Just like Octo and Bradford, those are two different people who picked up our Emmy Award, and Ben Vershaw, who picked up our Razzie Award. Also, Kelsendale, thank you for upgrading to the Critics' Choice. All of you guys are fantastic. Also, you can go out and you can make your purchases via our Amazon banner at alternateending.com. So many of you guys are getting ready for the holidays. I'm really freaked out by this list. Therefore, I'm going to try and go through as many as I can, but I don't want to lose you. So put me on a stopwatch for like a minute. I'll go through a few of the things that were purchased. Maybe you guys have heard of them. Somebody picked up the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for the Nintendo Switch.
I need that.
I actually don't want that or need that, but I'm glad you.
I want it and need it. So hopefully, whoever you are, you're my mother, and you bought it off my wish list.
I hope so as well. Also,
actually, you know what? I'm not going to listen to the Amazon read because it might have my mother having purchased stuff off my wish list. So you just wave at me when I can come back on the Amazon read, Carrie.
You're right. No, I'll skip over anything. He's actually gone.
Yeah, I'll be the commenter on your products.
Well, what is also for Tim? So I'll read this off. Barbie Skipper Babysitters Incorporated, feeding and bath time. Tim, I do know, is really, really into childlike female dolls. So that's probably
that was extremely creepy. Let's move it along.
He's not here, so I can say whatever I want. I get all.
Yeah, but I still have to listen to it.
Oh yeah, that's true. He also may have picked up the Radio Flyer Junior thingy. What is a radio flower? The trike. The little.
Isn't it a wagon?
It's like a wagon, but they also make trikes. They're awesome because they have little pushers behind them because your kids never.
I don't know what's going on right now because I've muted myself, but I just saw Carrie like do the sort of jack off motion and then like a fisting motion. So something got purchased, and I'm real excited to go back and listen to this episode after Christmas.
It's for you, Tim. It's for you. So somebody also picked up Ticket to Ride, the board game. Actually, my aunt just got that for my kids, and I'm excited. I hope it's good. Because I love games. Also, everyone's just getting stuff probably for their kids. Play-Doh, more games, Lego for the Harry Potter series, the Fluffy Encounter. I don't know. Oh, Fluffy, the dog.
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, the dog. So it's probably a Lego of the dog. Stationery, more Barbie pizza play sets. Squoosh.
I mean, it is both the week of Christmas and when this episode comes out, the second night of Hanukkah. So that's a very big flurry of presents time.
It is so many gifts. Somebody's also going out and getting somebody twin head kits for their pumps to go out and camp. They're also getting helmets, bikes, hooded sweatshirts, going out and getting a 50-pack of exam paper. That sounds like a bummer. Oh my gosh.
Something great to put in a great stocking stuffer.
Exactly. This one, back when Rob and I, before we had kids, we used to use this. This was the French press coffee maker.
I was wondering what you were going to say after that.
We used to, like, when times were slow and we had like minutes in the day, make our own coffee and slowly sip it together. But alas, now we're just like, did you make the 12 cups? And we just try to like pound of it as much as we can. Let's see. So much holiday wrap. Thank you for that. Spike Mike Slackers and Dykes.
What?
On Kindle book. It's a book.
Oh. Okay, the way you read it made it sound absolutely unhinged. But yeah, that's Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes. It's about 90s indie cinema.
Oh, so cool. That's on yes, on a book. So they also picked up The Boundaries Between Us, Natives and Newcomers Along the Frontiers of the Northwest. Gosh.
Sexy.
So many earrings, window screen replacements, a pergola. Oh, gosh.
Okay. This has gone on very long. Can we skip to the list of movies that people rented?
We can. Thank you so much for saving me. We also... Tim, you can come back. We're at books and Blu-ray.
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry.
Books and Blu-rays are on my wish list.
Oh my gosh. You have all of these. I'll tell you if you don't have them.
We're just
Wizard of Oz.
Keep going through. See, I just got that for my birthday, so I know that's something that my mother purchased for me.
Oh,
so
great.
I'm dropping back off this call.
Women's perfume. That's another thing. Okay, Bugs Bunny 80th anniversary collection. That could be for Tim. Amer also.
Amer. It's a French movie, I think.
Oh, that's for Tim too. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Ooh, Dario Argento, his first film. It's very beautiful.
All right. What about the 10 Commandments? A real page turner, book turner, movie turner. The 10 Commandments.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the iconic films, I would argue.
Shawscope Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sergio Martino collection, which I got.
Oh, I think that's the box set put out by Arrow. That's another good Italian giallo box set.
Whew. Well, I made it through in only 12 minutes. So thank you so much for all of your purchases. We also can go out, leave us a review wherever you stream your podcast. When we get back, our top picks for the movie most into the holiday spirit.
So what was the jack-off fisting product?
No idea. There wasn't.
She was describing a tricycle.
There's something funny in this for us to try and play this game in the future. What is she saying on there? And like she is, yes, it was completely clean. And welcome back to Alternate Ending. We're here today talking about the movie that gets us most in the holiday spirit because holidays are upon us. They're here in just a day or two. For you, they're probably already here. You're already probably sitting at the table with your family wishing you could leave, but you can't.
What? It's Christmas, not Thanksgiving.
I know that's true. That's true. Is Christmas less awful on family?
Christmas you don't sit around a table.
Oh, what do you sit around?
The tree. I don't know.
Yeah,
do
you
you sit around a
I think
thing?
there's Christmas dinner at a lot of places.
Yeah.
I guess that's true, but it's not like the focal point of Christmas.
Okay.
It's not the dinner.
Well, it is for me. Which is a question I actually had. Do you guys have any, like, what's the first kind of thing that comes to your mind when you think about your best memories or family traditions what's like the first thing that comes to your mind as Christmas or Hanukkah is upon us, or whatever you celebrate this time of year?
I don't celebrate Hanukkah. I feel like you know that.
I know. So I'm just saying, what are your holiday traditions?
Like what are the traditions that come to mind, or the ones that make me happy, or what exactly are you
Whatever,
driving
however
for?
you want to take it. What's
I mean, my favorite part of the Christmas season is when I break out my Christmas decorations, when I start setting up the tree.
Mhm.
After I've set up the tree, I have an artificial tree. As I start to put the lights on it, I always start playing the Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack. That is my first official act of the Christmas season. So when I hear Linus and Lucy come on, that is when I know it's Christmas time.
Oh, and when you're still alone at this point, right?
Most likely.
Yes,
Most
yes.
likely.
I assume so. Brennan, what about you? Any family traditions? What gets you most in the spirit?
Yeah, I don't know. My family has like all the fucking basic ass white people traditions. Like there's a tree, we give each other presents. I mean, I enjoy trying to come up with presents that people will like for me to give to them. That's always nice. But now that living in an apartment, like as an adult, my big Christmas tradition is I have these like teeny tiny Christmas decorations that I break out. Like I have like a foot tall little tree with one ornament, and I have Santa hats for the various like figures and plushes that live around my apartment, and I like putting those on them.
Putting Santa hats on the regularly existing toys in your house is a very, very wonderful thing to do. I also do that.
Oh, I'm so glad. It is very pleasurable. And also, I my boyfriend Ben is Jewish, so I have I have blended in Hanukkah elements. I have like a little mini menorah, and I have these two little mini Godzilla figurines that the last 2 years I've had them kind of worshiping the menorah, but now I got a little dreidel for them to play with.
I think you'll find that Godzilla is probably Shinto, not Jewish.
I've actually found, in my experience living with Godzilla, that Godzilla is actually very, very devout, a practicing Jew.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I will defer to your wisdom here. What,
Yeah,
what are your traditions, Carrie? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't like to touch light switches on the Sabbath. He does everything.
Oh, so he's Orthodox even. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Carrie, what are your family traditions?
Oh my gosh, I'm the other extreme from you guys. Of course, I'm sure that comes as no shock. I am obsessed with Christmas. I love Christmas. I love everything about it. I want like as many people as you can fit into a room. If there's not at least 40 people, it's not worth going. Like I want to.
I would cut myself. And I would bleed my wrists into the tub, and I would die.
I know, and I love it. I want to be like elbow to elbow with at least like 5 or 6 people, like crammed on a couch that only fits 3, and we're like trying to like eat our cookie.
I feel like I'm going to puke just listening to you describing this.
It is my favorite. And I even have claustrophobia, but not at Christmas. At Christmas, I'm just like, I want to be as tucked in as I can with the people around me that I love the most. And I love giving presents. I also love receiving presents because when I was a kid, we didn't get presents like ever throughout the year, like unless it was like your birthday or Christmas. Like those were the 2 things. So my parents, when Christmas would come around, it was just pure magic because it was like my mom would like keep track of everything we wanted throughout the year, so it would be stuff I'd forget about that I said maybe like 10 months ago. She always kept track, and she would buy everything or like a lot of the things because she just it wasn't going to come around again until like another holiday. And so it was like the Game Boy. It's like when I'd get like the big stuff, like I got my first Game Boy at Christmas. I still remember it like it was yesterday.
So you're saying, if I'm hearing correctly, your love of Christmas is nakedly materialist.
Oh, I mean, isn't the gifts the reason for the season? I mean,
this is still a point of ongoing friction between my parents and I. I would love so much to not. I shouldn't say my parents, my mother. I would love so much to receive no gifts and give no gifts. I find the gift-giving part of Christmas to be far and away my least favorite aspect of it.
Oh, no. That's what's the most important. I love people seeing open the gifts. I love doing white elephant. I want to end up with a piece of crap that I don't want.
The legit only fight my partner and I have ever had, we had about 3 weeks ago, and it was over me begging him not to buy me anything for Christmas. And he was like, but I want to. And I was like, you can't, because I don't want to buy you anything for Christmas, and I don't want it to become a whole
It's
thing.
a rational human being, though. That is why.
And he apparently decided not to, but his mother bought me something something for Christmas, so now she's on my fucking list. I got 2 goddamn mothers.
Get her a candle.
It's not good.
It's like incense things that like puts like pretty smell.
But I don't want to be in a position where I have to buy someone a gift. That requires a level of... I don't like it when people give me shit that I don't specifically need or want. And if I give somebody shit that I don't specifically need or want, then I'm contributing to a culture that I don't want to be part of.
That is the most cynical view of Christmas.
I think it's anti-cynical. I'm saying Christmas should not be about gifts. It should be about love.
About the birth of Jesus Christ. I know.
It should be about our Lord and Savior who died for our sins, Carrie.
Yeah. And that is where you're wrong. This is about telling people that you love them through material goods. This is trying to think of anything other than a gift card that you can give, even though they really just want the gift card. But the gift card's a cop-out, so you can't do it.
See, gift cards to me, I would rather just like pay a whore. Really, it's just like, it's the worst thing. Gift cards are to me the antithesis of thoughtful gift giving. And apologies to everyone, including my mother, who gives gift cards out for Christmas. Not to me, thank God. At that point, it becomes exclusively a commercial exchange. It has nothing to do with anything.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I'm sorry. Christmas gift giving stresses me out, as I'm sure you can tell right now, just talking about it.
I can tell it stresses you out, but this is where you just need to like pop a Xanax or something like that and just let the presents watch over you. We want to...
No, they're evil and I hate them.
All right. Well, agree to disagree, but I am the person that has 2 Christmas trees up. I have not put Santa hats on any of my Godzilla dolls, but if I had some Godzilla dolls, I would have put Santa hats on them. But there's trees all over in my house. There's crap everywhere that's all Christmassy. I love it. And you know what? Also not taking it down until at least April. That's just...
So, to be clear, I do love decorating for Christmas. I love the trappings of Christmas very much. I have not the last couple seasons, sadly, because of my adorable kitties who will destroy everything I own if I put it out. So I haven't figured out how to square that circle yet.
Okay. All right. Well, on top of our favorite Christmas things, there is a movie that's out there for each of us that in fact gets us into the most spirit. It gives us the tinglies. It gives us the warm feels of Christmas as it's coming. It gets us into the spirit, even if it's so spiritless as it is, as you described for yourself.
What? No. No such thing. No such thing.
I'm just kidding. But the movie that I have on my list will get you in the mood to give gifts. And I'm so excited to talk about it, but I'm not going to go first. I have one movie for me that is just the pinnacle of the holiday spirit, but I'm going to kick it to Brennan first. I want to hear from you, Brennan. If you are going to get in the spirit, if you're going to love everything about December 25th, what do you watch?
Okay, so here's the thing. I am not a very sentimental person. There are things that I like, and there are things that I can experience in an earnest way, but that is it takes a lot to get me there. I don't experience a lot of high highs or low lows in my life. I'm very mellow. I don't want to have to like have my heartstrings pulled or melt or like really have to care about something extraneous, you know. But I also, in a similar way, I do enjoy the trappings of Christmas. I do enjoy the way that it kind of transforms the world or a familiar place into something new, and that just is a marker of like, this is a special season where things are different and things are going to be behaving in a different way, and that's exciting to me. And to that end, if I had to pick absolutely one movie, I think it would be Gremlins. Because it is a very, very heavy, snowy Christmas movie. And also, snow Christmas is like a fantasy for me growing up in Southern California. It's always like 78 degrees on Christmas here.
If I can pause you right there, we are for sure going to have a white Christmas in the Midwest this year. I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's really neat. I like the being able to indulge in that cinematically. And then also just, I think Gizmo is an absolutely one of the greatest cute creations of cinema, and I love watching him do his thing.
I completely agree. What?
Gremlins even a Christmas movie?
100%.
Yeah.
Not even in the like Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Am I right? Wink, wink, wink. It's actually a Christmas movie.
It is. Okay. All right. I haven't seen it, but...
What?
You haven't seen Gremlins?
Oh.
You do have that 80s blind spot. Like, you also hadn't seen The Princess Bride until like 4 years ago.
Recently. But Gremlins, I always was too scary. I remember thinking...
Oh, no, it's not scary. It's funny.
Don't think like have fangs and they come out and eat people?
More or less, but it's in a funny way.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are dangerous to the characters, but it's not scary to watch.
Okay. Brennan, have you ever
It is super gross, so I would probably not show it to your younger child.
Okay.
I think the elder could probably handle it at this point.
You could handle.
Yeah, but you could handle it. It's kind of just like it's. I mean, this is a grave insult to gremlins, but they're kind of like minions. Like they just do.
They are
that
like
fucks
minions, but
things up.
they're better than minions because the minions are still ultimately soft little comic figures in a children's movie. The gremlins are like nasty and violent.
Furbies. They're like little Furbies.
They're like Furbies that kill
Yeah.
you
Okay.
Yeah.
violently.
I love to get in the Christmas spirit with a little violent murder.
Absolutely,
Rowan.
best way.
Brennan, this is, I think, something I'd be curious to know too, though. Like, have you not had the experience as a little kid then of like getting up and like going sledding in the morning on?
On what? On dirt?
Like, I don't know. I'm like, this
You just go right out there to Griffith Park and just sled on down the hill.
So have you gone like? Did you not
Roll
have
down the
that in your
grass.
childhood? Like no sledding, no ice skating outside.
No.
Oh my
In my life, in the place, like I've seen snow. I've existed around snow, but you have to go to it.
Yeah.
Like I've gone up to the mountains. I've seen snow like maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. But like most of my life I've lived in Southern California, and well, actually, I mean, no, literally all of my life. I sometimes leave Southern California for brief periods. But I think in the time that I've been alive, which at the time of recording is about 28 years, I think it is hailed 4 or 5 times,
Okay, it's
and
different.
that's about what we get.
Oh my gosh, we get like 12 inches a day, and I literally just went.
Oh, I get 12
Well,
inches
that-
a day, just not of snow.
Hey.
Oh, that feels like an overestimation on top of the fact.
We don't know Ben. Don't say shit about Ben, Carrie. I'm willing to believe I believe that's God's honest truth. I just heard.
Could be possible. I feel like you need snow to be able to actually get into the spirit of Christmas and the holidays.
And that's why I turn on Gremlins.
This makes so much more sense to me. I literally yesterday was just outside with my kids sledding for hours and was just, again, it's the most carefree thing in the world. You're just like, I'm literally floating, and it's amazing and fluffy and cold frostbite now, but it was worth it.
I was gonna say, to be entirely clear, the thing you do with snow is drink a cup of hot tea or cocoa whilst looking at it through a wall of glass,
Well, yeah.
or at least a small pane of glass.
Did you go sledding? Ian?
I get that. That's why I mean I love it when it rains, where you can do the same thing.
Absolutely. But it's better than rain because rain is like wet and snow is not wet. Snow is fluffy.
Tim, have you
What a
been,
creepy way I just described that. What?
have you been sledding before?
In my life, of course.
Oh, okay.
Recently, no. I'm an adult.
I go sledding here, and I could just imagine you though being like, even at like 6 or 7, analyzing the situation and being like, this seems like high risk. It's cold. Like, why would I want to put myself?
Oh no, I would always love sledding, and I was always the one who'd be like, guys, let's sled backwards,
Oh,
and like shit like that.
Ooh.
So no, risk was not a concern there. The problem with sledding, and I say problem advisedly, it's the condition of sledding, shall we say. In order to do it, it's sort of the like, it's the roller coaster thing. You stand in line for an hour to have a minute and a half of thrills. Like, you have to go up the hill. If it's a good hill, there's probably a queue to go down it, especially if it's like in a public park. So it's a lot of work to get to the point of engaging the sled, and then you sled and you're done. And it's like, is that trade-off a good? The cost benefit analysis is not maybe skewed towards sledding in that way.
I see.
But the act of it I love. And when I had friends who had a good sledding hill right in their yard, I would always go sled with them because then there was no wait. Then the only wait was the climbing back up the hill, which can suck because hills are steep and there's snow on the hill, so it's even harder to climb it.
Okay. Well, you can come over. We have an amazing hill just steps from our house, and I think that you would love.
I don't think that's correct. I know your yard.
No. no, like it's across the street. It goes into a retention pond, but it's amazing
Oh,
this time of year. I've even built a ramp. So I built a ramp yesterday so you can get air. So like heading down this hill, if you hit the ramp just right, you can get like at least 4 feet of air. And it is both risky but also amazing at the same time. So
okay.
just throwing it out there if you want to come.
I will take this into consideration.
Okay.
We'll need to let the below freezing days really sink in, so I'm confident that if I hit the retention pond, I will not fall into it and die.
Okay.
Because that'd be a shitty death. That's not the way I want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you were going to go, what movie that's Christmas would put you in the spirit to go, Tim?
I mean, sort of in the same way that Brennan was talking about. For me, the trappings are what I love. The getting ready for Christmas, like Christmas itself, like December the 25th, is always a sort of like ho hum to me. What I love is that I love decorating. I love buying a tree. I love listening to the music as you set up the ornaments on the tree. I love seeing the snowfall. I love all of that. I love going to the mall. That's what I miss most about physical shopping, going to a mall at Christmas time. And my movie theater here in Madison is now, since the old movie theater closed, the movie theater's in a mall. So I walk through a mall, and it's a sad mall.
It is a sad
And
mall.
it's like, and like even their Christmas setup, like the Christmas, like the tree and the Santa throne and all is very delightful, but the mall itself is sad, so I can't really fully enjoy it. But I can very clearly like bring myself back to 15, 20 years ago in my mind, 25 even at this point. And malls were just so beautiful, and like they had all the gaudy red and gold and green and whatnot. So I love the trappings. I love the getting ready, the preparation, the anticipation of Christmas. So my pick for the movie that gets me in the mood is one that's all about that kind of warming up for Christmas, getting things ready, the sort of way that fall comes to a close and the winter comes in, and you can start decorating, you start getting yourself excited. And it is a film very much about a group of people learning how to put Christmas on. It is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is very much about like the falling in love with the iconography of it. That's the first big song where he goes to the Christmas village and he's like, what is this? And it's like, it's gaudy, it's doodads, and like, it's beautiful. And then he spends the rest of the movie being so impressed by just that vibe. He just wants to bring it in and like marinate it and make it happen in his own life. And that to me is what I love about Christmas, is that feeling of let's get ready for Christmas. Christmas itself I could take or leave. It's the getting ready for Christmas that I love. And I get that vibe so strongly from Nightmare Before Christmas, which I will say, I have bad friends who I know listen to this podcast, so I'm not going to call them out by name, but I will say that their initials are PK and CS. Hi, guys. With whom I've recently had many fights over whether Nightmare Before Christmas is, strictly speaking, a Halloween or a Christmas movie. And this is to me why it's a Christmas movie, because it's all about that. Like, I'm so excited for Christmas. I'm so excited to get the decorations out, to get the Santa costume on. Like, that is to me the vibe of it. And I love that so much. That is the movie that does it for me.
Interesting. I don't think I've seen this one either.
Have you seen any movies, Carrie?
I don't know. I actually thought that you and I were going to overlap with our number one.
You were 10 when this movie came out. You were peak Nightmare Before Christmas years.
You know what? I was really, really kind of a film snob back then, and I was just like, these people, I'm not watching this. They're like, I thought it was going to be too scary as a kid because they were very skeletal, and
they're skeletons because it's a Tim Burton thingy, so it's like it's all about Halloween iconography being pressed into service for Christmas, which I think is the charm of it. But it's not scary. It's funny.
Not scary at all. I think as a kid, I didn't know that. I didn't verify because there was no internet then. So instead, I just skipped it. But I think it's one that stands up, though. Like, it's still good today, right?
I certainly think it's still good. I mean, I have nostalgia for it, so don't trust me. But I mean, people still like it. It still sells a ton of merchandise for the Walt Disney Corporation, insofar as that's something that we should use as any kind of measure for anything. But it means people like it.
Okay. One to watch with the girls. I think this is one I'd like to watch with them.
I think so. I think it's a good kids movie. It's short as hell.
Okay.
It's only 76 minutes long. It is a musical, and it is certainly a larger percentage of its running time is songs than dialogue. And I know you're not the world's biggest musical fan, Carrie.
Yeah. I'm still going to give it a try, but I'm going to squeak it in with mine, which is the only movie that came to mind when we were talking about.
Well, I don't want to hear what Brennan thinks of my pick.
Oh, he's not interested.
Uh, I actually I don't feel like I can give a concrete opinion on it because I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I liked it as a kid.
Okay.
Liked it.
This is to me at least every 3 years I watch this film.
Yeah, I really need to get back on that horse. That's just one that it's a movie that, because generally when I'm sitting down to watch movies in the Christmas season, I'm trying to watch movies that I haven't seen before that are set on Christmas. I'm not a huge Christmas rewatcher, so I have to work this one back in.
I will say it for me, when I'm trying to watch movies during the Christmas season, they are generally films with Oscar buzz that I need to get caught up on before I vote in year-end polls.
Yep.
Which is part of why I only watch Christmas movies that I love once every couple of years. But I'm thinking this is going to be a nightmare before Christmas year, in part because we talked about it, and because I've been like preparing this little spiel for a week.
That sounds great.
Are you ready for the better movie that you guys both missed?
I'm ready to hear your movie. I don't know about that other one.
The pinnacle of Christmas. This is the best Christmas movie ever. On top of the fact that it is just dripping with nostalgia, on the fact that and again, because I care about it so much, I watch it every year, not every 3 years. I watch this every year, and I watch it at the same time. So I have to be baking cookies. My mom used to bake cookies while it was on in the background when I was a kid, and now that I'm older,
you need the cookie smell.
You need the cookie smell. I want butter. I want my mom making toffee. My mom makes homemade cashew like toffee and homemade chocolate toffee. It's amazing. So you just smell all of the butter melting, and you watch this movie. It has the most amazing soundtrack, and it has the most amazing message, and it has all the things that are amazing. And again, I'm not always even directly watching it. I'm bustling around it. It's something that's in the room, and we're all working around it. You don't stare at the screen the entire time. But without this movie, there is no Christmas. And this is A Charlie Brown Christmas from 1965. My favorite.
I did not pick this for the specific reason that I felt like that would be humiliatingly obvious.
Well,
For me.
Oh, for you.
I am watching every single holiday special starring the Peanuts this year, specifically as a way of like juicing myself up for my annual viewing of A Charlie Brown Christmas.
See, you should have just gone with you should have gone with your heart.
I didn't want to be a parody of myself by picking an animated special that I believe I've already talked about on this podcast.
It's okay. Just be you. So here was the other thing. I had a really hard time because I actually have 3 movies that like glob together, which is A Year Without Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and A Charlie Brown Christmas. They all like play in that same bubble of when I make cookies. But what stood out to me was like I literally transported myself auditorily to that moment of like what will come this year, and what do I hear in my voice what do I hear in my head when I'm thinking about it? It's Linus. I hear Linus's voice, or who's the one that's like maybe that's
well those are adults.
Oh, well, I hear the adults doing like
the adults aren't in this special.
But then so then it's Snoopy has a voice.
Like that?
Yeah.
That's Snoopy.
So I'm thinking about Snoopy. And I'm thinking about...
Because what I think about is Linus. I think about Linus delivering a passage from the King James Bible, and it is my single favorite recitation of a Bible verse in all of cinema.
Can you do it right now?
I can't do it because I can't do his voice.
I know, but can you do what does he say?
Oh, I don't have the King James Bible memorized.
Oh, I thought you remembered it. You were one of those people who would. It's just all the parts and pieces of this fit together to just be like everything that I need. And then without it, I'm like, well, I guess there's no Christmas after all without A Charlie Brown. So this is the best. If you somehow have not seen it, you have to.
Going back to, I wouldn't even care to guess how long. I think I've only missed this one Christmas season in my adult life.
This is because it should have been the movie that was on your list. Be your own parody. This is your number one. And
I could have gone with Grinch. Grinch would have been at least modestly less of a parody of myself than Charlie Brown.
But not nearly as good. Those are your 3 picks.
But I did say that I listen to the soundtrack every time I start decorating my tree.
I know. That's why I was like, oh, we're in together on this. We're going to join hands through the Zoom. We're going to join hands. We're going to start singing Kumbaya, or maybe a Christmas song.
Or Christmas time is here is what we'll sing.
Exactly.
Or Hark the Herald Angels, and we'll go loo 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 before we start singing it.
But we can't. So we'll have to wait till next year and hope that we actually sync up on our Christmas lists. But alas, good picks. And I am going to go and watch your two just to get into the spirit as well. So you guys go watch ours. And
well, again, before we rush, I know we want this episode to come in under 2 hours, but I'm going to work my best to make sure that doesn't happen.
I know you're trying.
I want to hear Brennan's thoughts on Charlie Brown, or have you not seen that either?
That's actually the same. I'm in the same boat. I have seen it. It's been so long that I just don't feel like I have anything to offer as far as the conversation.
Okay.
Like, these are definitely childhood favorites that I haven't sought to revisit. Like I said, for me, in the last 10 years, or maybe let's say 7 years, Christmas season is very much bad movie season. I love bad Christmas movies. That's why
Charlie Brown Christmas is 25 minutes long, Brennan.
Well, I know.
If you cut out the time that I've spent needlessly protracting the length of this podcast, you would have had time to watch it instead of recording this podcast.
That's true, but I'm here against the odds.
Well, that sounds like a you problem, and maybe you should reevaluate your choices going forward.
No, you're right. But I mean, I've been favoring the bad Netflix movies. I like to throw in a bad evangelical, like, Pure Flix Christian movie every year or so. I like to wallow in the filth, just like every other month of the year.
That's fair.
Well, we left that on a really warm note, thanks to Tim there. Let's all go wallow in our own.
If there's one thing that I like to do to this podcast, it's break it. So I'm glad that happened.
We know. I think you and I feel the same. We both feel the same about that. But I do want to, in closing, thank everybody for joining us for this episode and hoping that.
Carrie.
What?
Nothing. Just wanted to prove I could do it.
How hard it is for me to transition. Do you know? It's very hard. As a full-fledged rambler, it is very difficult for me to do. So alas, happy holidays.
I'm just saying, I'm an agent of chaos, and that's what I believe my job is. I'll shut up now.
You are. You're doing it so well, and that's what we appreciate about you. And you can do it because it's your birthday, but it's also the holidays coming up, and we hope that you all have a wonderful holiday. So, in closing, go out to our social media pages. You can like them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're tweeting, all those kinds of things. You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google. And also, don't forget about Patreon. I think upcoming, we haven't talked about it yet, but we are due for some movie trivia. So I'm putting Brennan on the spot, but we'll be getting that in December sometime.
Oh, good Lord, no, we're not. No, we're not.
I didn't mean December. Are we in December right now?
We're in December. We are. Yeah. The rest of the year is booked. This was my last podcast event of the year.
Whoops, I just muted myself. So I was thinking that this was November. So I was
It extremely is not.
So
Christmas is a week from today.
What I said is not actually factual, but what is factual is we will be finding some time in January to get to
that seems
some
reasonable.
Trivia. So be on the lookout for that. I blame this all on you, Tim.
Thank you.
Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy New Year. See you all in 2023. Love you all.
Yeah. Bye.